In this part of the compass, we're going to be going into the brand words. The brand words are actually 2 pages to the brand carry-all. The first page is a list of adjectives, how the company wants their brand to sound and come off to other people. It's pretty simple, but the second page is a quick analysis of each word. And it goes way more into detail about how we're going to communicate that specific adjective. Now, I don't always include the second page if the brand voice sums it up pretty good, but it is helpful to have in there because it does go really in depth on each and every single one of those adjectives that we're trying to hit on. So why is the voice important? This part of the carry-all greatly affects how your clients, customers, and the audience perceive and trust the business, how things are presented, how things feel, and the gut feeling that people get when they go to the website or the brand or whatever is really, really important to a successful business. Not only is it important to your client's audience, but this part for you is going to have a really great influence on the creative assets that you're going to create. Whether it's a logo, web design, copy, or photography, this is the part that really, really influences this and that you're going to draw from a lot when you're actually creating the assets. So how to create the brand words? It's really pretty simple. What you're going to do is you're going to pull 5 to 7 adjectives from the voice portion of the strategy session. Remember that part where we basically just brainstormed a bunch of adjectives and asked yes or no, does these adjectives work? You're just going to take the top highlighted ones and the ones that you feel like need to be represented, and you're going to put them on a document just like this. So how do you pick and choose which words? It's mainly a feeling. Like I said, this is where your kind of gut intuition comes into play and where you get to explain your gut intuition and put it on paper. So it's not just like, hey, I feel like it should be like this, but you're actually putting it on paper and recording it. So that's awesome. But if you're having a little bit of trouble, what you can do and some things that you should follow is you should try to use polarizing and unique words to really differentiate your client's business. For example, professional and friendly is just not going to cut it. I don't care what kind of business you are. These are most of the times not going to cut it because this could be anybody. You need to have words that really do define who this company is. Every niche is going to have its everybody words too. There's not just, professional and friendly. Those are words that could work for literally every single business and organization in the world. But you're going to notice, especially when you start to niche down, that niches have their everybody words. For example, I used to work with a lot of wedding professionals. Every single wedding professional, I swear, would want to be timeless and romantic. I mean, what wedding professional does not want their brand to feel timeless and romantic? And so you're going to want to try really, really hard to stay away from those words. If you can go to thesaurus.com and try and see if there's any other adjectives that match up well with that, or if you pair it with something that's maybe a little bit more controversial and contradicting, that might be cool too, but make sure to be aware of those everybody words. I just want to quickly clarify something in here when I'm talking about the everybody words. Just because your client wants the company to feel timeless and romantic doesn't mean that you can't use the words timeless and romantic. It just means that you shouldn't have those words be the focus that the company is focusing on, because those are words that are a little bit obvious. Like, you almost don't even need to say them. They're so everybody. So instead of even just putting it in the brand, it's just assuming every wedding wants to be timeless and romantic, and go with that instead. So now that you've defined what those brand words, the second page is where you get to really explain why you chose those words and how your client is going to use those adjectives in their business. This is what it looks like. It looks like a lot like the competitor analysis sheet that you have. Basically what you're doing is you're just listing out the voice, the adjective in one column. For example, you are going to list romantic. I know I said not to use that word, but maybe it works for this business. So in the voice column, you're going to list out the adjective. In this case, it'd be romantic. And then in the next column, you're just going to give a small description of what that really means, like why you're wanting to use that, what that's going to help your clients do. Then in the do and don't column, it's really simple. You're going to give some examples of how they can make their brand feel more or less romantic, things that they should do and things that they should never do. Now, if you're struggling with the do and don't section, again, this is my favorite book whenever I'm trying to get really actionable suggestions for the voice and the personality. This book, it'll tell me exactly if I want my brand to feel like this, actionable things that I should or should not do. I love this book. Go get it. Or you can go to your clients' competitors again and look for examples of things that they're doing and things that they're not doing. Now, if you are going to go to your clients' competitors and there is something that you like, that you want to kind of replicate in some way, make sure that you talk about how you're going to spin that off. For example, I really liked how my client's competitor's footer on their website was because it solved one of our problems. It told part of their story and then linked to some things in their footer. And so what I decided to do is I suggested to my client, I said, hey, let's talk about your story in the footer so that it's everywhere in the website. Maybe we're going to go a little bit more in depth than your competitor does. Or maybe we're not going to go as in depth and we're going to talk about this instead. Make sure you put your own spin on it so you're not just straight up copying, but it's okay to get inspiration from your competitors as well.